Have you ever stopped to think how much damage a single moment of lost control can do to your life? One careless word, one burst of anger, one impulsive purchase, or one toxic thought, each small in the moment, can leave a scar that takes years to heal. The truth is, we don't always lose to life because we're weak. We lose because we give up control at the exact moment it matters most. And those moments, no matter how small they seem, shape everything. They define relationships, they define reputation, they define direction. If you look back, most of your deepest regrets came when you didn't pause, when you reacted instead of reflected, when you let the mouth speak without thinking, when the mood took over, when the money slipped through your fingers, when your mind ran in circles instead of staying clear and still. The world will always give you a reason to lose control. People will provoke you. Life will frustrate you. Emotions will flood you, but what you do in those moments decides who you become. That's where the real battle begins, not outside, but inside. Control is not suppression. It's not about holding everything in. It's about holding yourself together when everything else is falling apart. It's about knowing that you don't owe anyone a reaction. You don't need to explain, to fight, to prove anything. You need to stay rooted, because every time you keep control, you gain power, real power, quiet, calm, unshakable power, the kind that doesn't need to be loud to be heard. And yet so many walk through life as prisoners of their own impulses. They speak before they think, spend before they plan, explode before they breathe, and believe every lie their mind tells them. They feel exhausted, scattered, out of sync, not because life is too much, but because they've never been taught how to take control. Not control of the world, not control of others, but control of themselves. And that's where everything changes. When you choose control, you don't become cold or distant. You become focused, you become aware, you learn the power of pause, the power of stillness, the power of being intentional in a world addicted to chaos. Staying in control is not easy. It demands awareness, practice, and courage. But every time you win that internal battle, you step into a higher version of yourself, a version that doesn't break under pressure, a version that leads, not follows, a version that acts with purpose, not impulse. If you've ever felt like life keeps slipping through your hands, maybe it's time to take it back. Because this isn't about perfection, it's about power. The kind of power that starts when you take ownership of your mouth, your mood, your money, and your mind. And if you stay with me through every part of this message, by the end, you won't just understand control, you'll feel it. You'll crave it, you'll be ready to use it. Because your future deserves someone who doesn't just survive the storm. It deserves someone who learns to steer through it. Your words are either building your future or breaking it down one sentence at a time. Most people never realize how much power they waste just by speaking without purpose. They confuse venting with healing. They confuse honesty with recklessness. But the truth is, when you control your mouth, you begin to control your world. Because what you say out loud shapes what you believe internally. And what you believe internally shapes the life you end up living. Every word you speak becomes a brick in the foundation of your identity. So ask yourself, are you building something strong, or are you tearing it down with your own voice? It's not just what you say to others. It's what you say to yourself when no one else is listening. That inner dialogue, those whispered doubts, that sarcasm disguised as humor. Every sentence you speak into your own mind becomes a seed. Some grow into fear, others grow into confidence. You get to choose which ones you water. And it all begins with awareness, because your mouth doesn't just express what's inside, it programs it. When you keep saying, I can't, your brain listens. When you say, I'll never, your actions follow. But when you choose your words with intention, everything begins to shift. Silence is not weakness. Silence is discipline. The ability to pause, to reflect, to breathe before you speak, that is power. Because the world is filled with noise, with people talking just to be heard, arguing to prove a point, reacting without thinking. But the person who controls their tongue controls their energy. They protect their peace. They speak not to impress, but to uplift. Not to dominate, but to direct. Not to escape, but to build. And that kind of speech creates influence that lasts long after the conversation ends. There is a reason people remember how you made them feel more than what you said. Words leave marks. They echo in minds long after you forget saying them. So speak with intention. Speak with direction. Speak with the weight of knowing your words can heal or they can hurt. And in every moment you are choosing which one they will do. If you want your life to change, start with your language. Stop rehearsing pain. Stop repeating limitations. Speak strength. Speak clarity. Speak life, even when you don't feel it, especially when you don't feel it. Because your words are not just reflections of reality, they are tools that shape it. Self-control starts with self-expression. If you can't manage your mouth, you'll struggle to manage your emotions, your relationships, your path. But once you do, once you master that part of you, something shifts. You speak less, but you say more. You react less, but you connect deeper. You command more respect, not by raising your voice, but by raising your standard. You stop living by accident and start communicating with purpose. And that kind of power doesn't fade. It grows one word at a time. When your emotions run your life, peace becomes a stranger. You wake up already anxious, already reactive, already bracing for something to go wrong. Your day becomes a game of survival instead of strategy. And the worst part is, it feels normal. You start to believe that being moody is just who you are, that emotional chaos is part of life, but it's not. It's just a pattern, one that can be broken the moment you decide you're no longer willing to be a prisoner of your mood, because emotions are not commands, they're signals, and you are not obligated to obey every feeling that shows up. Most people live in emotional autopilot. They get angry and lash out. They get sad and shut down. They feel doubt and quit. But your mood is not supposed to lead you. You're supposed to lead it. And that leadership begins with understanding. Emotions are temporary. They're chemical. They're shaped by sleep, food, thoughts, stress, and stories you tell yourself. They are real, but they are not truth. When you start seeing them for what they are, signals, not sentences, you gain the power to respond, not just react. Control doesn't mean you never feel. It means you don't collapse under the feeling. You learn how to pause, how to breathe, how to name what you feel instead of becoming it. That pause, those 3 seconds between trigger and response, that is where your power lives. That's where you decide who you're going to be. Are you going to let one bad moment ruin a whole day? Are you going to give your energy away to someone who doesn't deserve it? Or are you going to choose peace over proving a point, clarity over chaos, purpose over pride? You don't need to fix your whole life overnight. You just need to master one moment at a time, and that starts by refusing to let a bad mood dictate your choices. Because every time you stay calm when you used to explode, every time you move forward when you used to shut down, you're not just changing a habit, you're changing your identity. You're building someone stronger, someone wiser, someone who isn't controlled by waves but learns how to surf through them. The world doesn't need more people who panic. It needs more people who stay present, who stay steady, who learn how to carry peace even when everything around them is shaking. That kind of calm doesn't just protect your energy, it protects your progress. Because when your mood takes over, your vision disappears. And without vision, you drift, you settle. You stop chasing the life you were built for. Your mood is not a master, it's a mirror. It shows you what's happening inside. And once you see it clearly, you can clean it up. You can rise above it. Not by forcing yourself to be positive, but by choosing not to be ruled. That's the shift. That's the power. And it's already inside you, waiting to be claimed. If you don't learn to control your money will control you. Not just your bank account, your confidence, your freedom, your choices. And it doesn't matter how much you earn if you never learn how to keep it. Because it's not income that builds stability, it's discipline. It's the courage to say no to things that give you nothing back. It's the strength to delay the temporary so you can invest in the permanent. Every careless swipe, every impulsive buy, every time you choose comfort over clarity, you trade your future for a moment that won't even matter tomorrow. Most people don't have a money problem. They have a self-control problem. They spend to feel better, to escape stress, to keep up, to look successful, instead of becoming successful. But financial freedom doesn't come from having more. It comes from needing less. From mastering the urge to chase approval, to fill emotional gaps with things. Because if your self-worth is tied to what you can buy, you'll always be broke inside. True power is not needing to prove anything. It's building a life where your money serves your vision, not your ego. Control means clarity. It means knowing exactly where your money goes and why. It means no more hiding from your bank statement, no more hoping things fix themselves, no more living on edge. It means making decisions that align with your goals, not your mood. It means understanding that every dollar has a purpose. And when you waste it, you delay what matters. You delay your peace. You delay your dreams. You delay your growth. But when you respect your money, it starts to respect you back. It multiplies. It creates space. It builds momentum. You don't have to be rich to be free. You have to be responsible. That starts with a mindset shift. You are not just a consumer. You are a builder, a leader, someone who refuses to be controlled by cravings or habits or distractions. You know what matters. And you are willing to wait, willing to work, willing to rise above the noise. That's how wealth begins. Not with luck, but with awareness. With decisions repeated until they become a standard. A standard that says, I don't chase things, I create them. Every time you say no to what drains you, you say yes to what builds you. You say yes to peace of mind, to options, to ownership. You stop living paycheck to paycheck, not just financially, but emotionally. You stop reacting and start directing. You stop leaking your future through small compromises. And that kind of control isn't boring. It's powerful. It gives you room to dream bigger, live stronger, give more, and sleep without fear. You deserve a life that isn't held together by credit cards and crossed fingers. You deserve a life of dignity, of direction, of decisions that serve your highest self. And that life begins the moment you decide your money will no longer master you. You will master it. Every choice, every day, starting now. Everything you want to change in your life begins in one place, your mind. Before you can shift your actions, you have to shift your thoughts. Because the mind is the root of every pattern, every habit, every belief you carry. If your mind is filled with doubt, your life will reflect hesitation. If your thoughts are full of fear, your choices will shrink. But if your mind is trained to focus, to believe, to persist, your life becomes something different, something powerful. Control of the mind is not about silencing every negative thought. It's about not obeying them. It's knowing which voice to feed and which one to ignore. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who observes them, questions them, chooses which ones to keep and which ones to reject. But most people never stop long enough to notice what's running their mind. They believe every fear. They hold on to every lie. They rehearse pain and failure until it becomes their identity. And slowly, without realizing, they become slaves to the chaos within. But when you take control, when you decide that your mind is a garden, not a garbage bin, everything changes. You start planting purpose. You start pulling weeds. You start choosing peace over panic. It starts with awareness, or noticing when your thoughts are working against you, catching the moment your inner voice turns harsh, doubtful, bitter, and choosing to interrupt it, choosing to replace it with something that builds you. You don't need perfect thoughts. You need consistent ones. You need language that pushes you forward, not language that drags you down. Every time you reframe a fear, every time you shift from I can't to I will, you rewire your brain. You create a new path, a stronger one that leads towards strength instead of stuckness. The mind loves patterns. It will return to what you repeat. So repeat clarity, repeat belief, repeat discipline, and your mind will learn to follow. Don't wait to feel motivated. Train your thoughts to lead even when your emotions resist. Even when doubt whispers, even when fear screams, even when old habits try to pull you back. You lead. You speak life into your future even when it feels far away. You hold vision even when your reality doesn't match yet. That is mental strength. That is the foundation of control. This is how you rise, not by forcing your way through, but by mastering the space between your ears. That's where the real battle happens. That's where transformation begins. You don't need more time, more talent, or more chances. You need a stronger mind. A disciplined, focused, clear, and calm mind, one that doesn't break under pressure. One that knows who you are, where you're going, and what you refuse to tolerate anymore. Control your mind and you control your emotions. Control your mind and your choices change. Control your mind and you stop reacting to life. You start creating it, thought by thought, belief by belief, until the life you imagine becomes the life you live. When you learn to control your mouth, your mood, your money, and your mind, you no longer live by chance. You live by choice. You don't just survive what life throws at you. You shape it, you design it, you build it from the inside out. Because control isn't about restriction, it's about alignment. It's about choosing actions that match your highest values, not your lowest urges. It's about creating a life that reflects strength, not struggle. Every moment of discipline becomes a step toward freedom, not the kind of freedom that fades, but the kind that lasts, the kind that lets you breathe deeper, think clearer, and stand taller. The world wants you distracted, impulsive, reactive. It feeds on your attention, your weakness, your lack of control. But the moment you take that control back, everything shifts. You stop being a victim of your own patterns. You stop giving your power away to noise, to fear, to habits that never served you. You remember who you are. You become someone who acts with purpose, who speaks with intention, who spends with wisdom, who thinks with clarity. And that kind of person isn't just respected by others, they begin to respect themselves. Self-respect is built through consistency. It's built in the quiet moments when no one's watching, when you walk away from an argument because peace matters more than pride, when you say no to the thing you crave because your goals matter more than your feelings, when you sit with discomfort instead of running from it. That's where growth lives, not in motivation, but in mastery. And mastery is earned, one decision at a time. You don't need to control the world. You need to control your response to it. That's where real power lives. That's what separates the strong from the scattered. Life will always test you. People will disappoint you. Circumstances will shake you. But if you've built yourself from the inside, you don't fall apart. You adapt, you respond, you rise. Because you've trained your mouth to speak life. You've trained your mood to stay grounded. You've trained your money to follow vision. You've trained your mind to focus forward. That is the edge. That is the breakthrough. That is the version of you the world has been waiting to see. Nothing about this is easy, but everything about it is worth it, because this is what gives you peace when the world is loud. This is what gives you focus when everything feels uncertain. This is what helps you sleep at night knowing you're not chasing the world. You're becoming who you were always meant to be. And that kind of life doesn't come from luck. It comes from intention. From choosing control over chaos, growth over comfort, ownership over blame. So stop waiting for life to change. Start becoming the kind of person who makes change inevitable. The kind of person who doesn't flinch, doesn't fold, doesn't give up. The kind who leads, not follows. The kind who walks with discipline and lives with purpose. You are that person. Now act like it. Control is not about becoming someone else. It's about returning to the person you were before the world taught you to live in reaction, before doubt crept in, before fear rewrote your script, before pressure made you small, the version of you that was focused, calm, driven, not by emotion, but by mission. That version is still in you, still waiting, still strong. But it only emerges when you decide to stop handing your power to distractions, emotions, temptations, and noise. Real control is quiet. It doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need validation. It simply moves with purpose and refuses to be moved by chaos. Every decision you make becomes a message to yourself. Every compromise says, I'll settle. Every discipline says, I'm serious. When you consistently choose alignment, you don't just improve your life, you transform your identity. You start to feel different, think different, walk different. You become someone who holds their own standard no matter who's watching. Someone who doesn't chase peace because they are peace. Someone who doesn't beg for respect because they live in a way that commands it. And that's not arrogance. That's self-respect built through alignment, built through every act of control when it would have been easier to give in. You begin to realize that most people aren't failing because they lack opportunity. They're failing because they lack order. Their lives are full of chaos disguised as freedom. But true freedom isn't doing whatever you want. It's having the strength to do what's right, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. And that strength is built in the hidden moments, when you resist the urge to speak without thinking, when you stay grounded while others spiral, when you choose to save instead of spend, when you replace self-doubt with self-direction. You will never feel powerful in a life where your emotions make your decisions. You will never feel confident if your thoughts control you more than your vision does. You will never feel secure if your spending habits betray your own goals. Power is not found in potential, it's found in patterns. Patterns that reflect control, order, and inner authority. That's the foundation of a strong life, a life built on choices, not chances. There is no secret waiting to be discovered. There is only a choice waiting to be made, to stop drifting, to stop reacting, to stop blaming, and start building. One moment of self-control may not seem like much, but it sets a tone. It raises a standard. It rewrites what you tolerate, what you expect, and what you believe you're capable of. The life you want doesn't ask for perfection. It asks for consistency. Control is that consistency. It's the anchor in the storm, the calm in the noise, the fire beneath focus. It's what allows you to hold your ground and move forward at the same time. This is not about pretending to be strong. It's about becoming so grounded, so intentional, that strength becomes your default. You don't need to force it. You just need to choose it over and over until it becomes who you are.